Ratchet and Clank. What another good game. Again, this one goes again into the top 5 of what I would recommend straight away for people who are new to platinum trophy hunting. Very straightforward, no missables, just so easy to get, and also quite a fun story and just a fun game to play. Absolutely love how they sort of remade the original story into something a bit new, modernized all of the controls, and so for me, straight away it goes into the A tier as such a fun game. Spider-Man Miles Morales. A great game, but not as good as the very first Spider-Man. For me, I did love it. It was really, really fun and I enjoyed it. But the only issue I had was just how short the game was, and almost like felt like DLC for the very, very first Spider-Man game. Again, you don't have to go out of your way to get any kind of trophies. You do have to complete the game on New Game Plus, which again is a little bit frustrating and a little bit annoying, but I feel like that was just done so that they could give us like, you know, a few extra hours on the game, because you can speed run it through in a couple of hours. But other than that, like again, it just is so fun to play, but because of the New Game Plus trophy, it will be A tier. SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom. Such a fun little platformer. I think if you haven't played any of the SpongeBob games and you love platformers, this game will be really, 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 really fun. I enjoyed it. I loved it. Was it amazing? No. Was it terrible? No. It pretty much fits right into that mid-tier category, which is exactly where I'm going to rate it, into the B tier. But it's also one of those ones that I think is definitely well worth playing if you're bored and you don't really know what else to play. Marvel Spider-Man 2. Not as good as the first one. The story for me was just a little bit off compared to what number one was, but the gameplay and everything was enhanced and slightly a little bit better. But I definitely didn't feel like it was anywhere near as good as what number one was. Again, it's a pretty easy, straightforward platinum, very, very normal. You don't have to go out of your way to get anything, and so for that reason, it definitely fits into the A tier as well. Next, we have Stray. This game, so fun. I absolutely loved it for a game that literally has no talking whatsoever and just robots talking complete gibberish. I couldn't believe how fun this game was. I absolutely loved it. The speedrun trophy can be a little bit frustrating, but it's actually really easy and straightforward if you follow a guide. If it was, just a slightly better story, it would probably go into my S tier, but for now, it will be fitting straight into the A tier category. Far Cry 4. My favorite Far Cry. Without a doubt, my favorite Far Cry game. I think of everything that Far Cry 3 did so well, Far Cry 4 just does even better. It was just so fun. Villain as well was really good. The gameplay was just much smoother, obviously being now on the PlayStation 4. It was just everything that you could want in a Far Cry game and an open world game, and the Platinum Trophy as well didn't really need to go out of your way, not too hard and very, very straightforward to get. And so for that, this one will fit in my S tier category. Ghost Runner. I wasn't sure about this game when I started it. After finishing it, I did come to like it once I got the hang of the mechanics. But basically running along walls, jumping and slicing through a whole heap of robots was fun. It does get frustrating that you die in one hit every single time you play, but it is actually so fun, and it is one of my favorite games, and I do recommend it as something a bit more challenging. Would I go back and play it again? Probably not, but I am keen to try Ghost Runner 2 out at some stage, but for me it does fit a little bit more of that mid category, and that would be B tier. Callisto Protocol. For me, this is my first sort of dive into a horror style type of game. I'm not a big fan of horror games, as everyone who tunes into streams will know. And this was my first sort of turn to, just try them out. I'd heard really good things about it. It was fun. I will admit the gameplay itself was fun, satisfying stomping on monsters' heads and shooting them as well with the guns. Did get a little bit repetitive though, very similar. Very similar to RoboCop, but the gameplay and the story itself just felt much better. The Platinum itself is relatively straightforward, and so for that reason, it fits into the B tier category. Next, we have Tacoma. Again, I literally do not remember this game whatsoever, which probably shows how good it was. From what I can remember, it's just a cool little puzzle game, but yeah, I honestly have no recollection of this game at all, to the point that I couldn't really give you much on it, and so for that, it's going to fit into the C category. Tunic. Again, this one is actually a lot harder than it looks. It's a very straightforward game, but you do need to beat it on the hardest difficulty, I believe, and it is actually quite fun, but is also hard and frustrating at the same time. I wouldn't say that it's terrible, but I also wouldn't say that it's good. It's one of those ones that I do actually throw out as a recommendation every now and then when it comes to mind or when I'm looking through my list, and so for that, it is going to fit straight into the B tier category. The Last of Us Part 1. This is the remastered version, so for the PS5, this is not the PS3 or the PS4 version. Those ones are obviously a lot harder to get, but again, what can we say about The Last of Us? It's just so fun. It's one of the best games I have ever played. It's one of the best stories there is. There really isn't much else to say. This obviously gets rid of all the multiplayer trophies and everything else that you need to do, which does make life just much easier. But because it is just so good, it will be fitting straight away into that S tier category. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Well, sorry, this one is Survivor. Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Just such a fun game. Is it as good as the first one? No. There was some issues when this game first came out, and I unfortunately did have one of the collectibles bugged, so I had to wait for the update before I could get the Platinum, which made it a little bit disappointing. Did it play as smooth as what the original did? No. Was the story good? Yes. But besides the collectibles, the Platinum was pretty well straightforward. I loved every minute of it. Besides obviously the slight little glitch that happened, but it does fit perfectly into the A tier for me. Uncharted 3, Drake's Deception. Uncharted 3, Drake's Deception. Just such a good game, this one. Obviously, I think they they just improved on Uncharted 1 and 2. It is much easier compared to Uncharted 1 and 2, particularly the brutal difficulty. I found myself getting a little bit less frustrated and just dying a little bit less. I don't believe I'm going to go back and do the crushing difficulty. I have seen how frustrating and how hard that looks. But again, this is really straightforward. It doesn't take too long to clean up at the end. It is one of my favorite games, and the Uncharted series is definitely one that I recommend. So into the A tier. Thymesia. After completing Bloodborne, I was looking for a new Souls game, and Thymesia fits into that. Slightly a little bit unique compared to Bloodborne in that you actually have to finish your enemies off, in the sense of once you kill them, you then have a special ability that actually kills them, otherwise they regenerate their health, which is kind of cool. I didn't expect it, and it played like so well, and it was quite fun. It is a little bit annoying though, mechanics at times, and the camera can get a little bit frustrating, but I had a lot of fun. I do recommend it quite a lot, so it'll go straight to the B tier for me. The Plucky Squire. I had high hopes for this game. I thought it was going to be really good. I was really looking forward to playing it. Unfortunately, it was just no good. There's no other way for me to put it. The game came out, it was glitched, it wasn't working. I had to actually leave the game for like 6 months because I couldn't get the trophies for it. And the story was okay, but not memorable at all. And I just found myself getting frustrated the more and more I played it. So this goes straight into the D tier. Alright, now next on the list we have God of War Ragnarok. Now the God of War series is honestly the greatest game series that I have ever played. Honestly, if God of War 1 is in S tier, there's honestly nothing else to say about Ragnarok except that it deserves to be in S tier as well, and it is going to join all of the ranks up there in S tier. It is absolutely amazing and it is so worth your time playing. Okay, next we have High on Life. Now this game actually is so fun. I didn't expect this to be as fun as it was. It is a little bit of a grind to get the forum trophies. That's really the only letdown. There are a few missables as well to keep an eye on, but honestly I don't know how a comedy game can be so funny but also play so well at the same time. Doesn't quite fit into the S tier, but definitely fits here into the A tier. Next, we have Far Cry Primal. Again, I'm a huge fan of the Far Cry series, and I think Far Cry Primal, for a game that literally has no English, they speak absolutely like not a word of English like at all. The game actually plays so well, besides crashing at one particular point, which was my only frustration with it. The story is kind of, okay, but the gameplay itself is so fun. The journey's pretty straightforward. You don't really have to spend too much grinding, and that is why it'll fit straight into the A tier. Jak 2. Oh boy. After how good Jak 1 was, Jak 2 is it just ain't it. There is nothing else to say for Jak 2 except that it just ain't it. There is nothing else to say. This game was so frustrating. Trying to collect all the orbs, trying to do everything, complete all the challenges, like it was just beyond frustrating. Look, the story is fun. It's definitely a hit of nostalgia, but for the platinum journey itself, it is just no good, and for that reason I am putting it down into the C tier, which may be a bit controversial. Uncharted Legacy of Thieves. I believe that's the one there. Yeah, Lost Legacy is the other one. So this one you actually have to complete 2 games. Look, Uncharted series, great. This is Uncharted 4 and the Lost Legacy. Look, would have loved to have been able to get 2 platinums instead of 1 from this game, considering when you play through it, you're completing 2 games. I did stack Lost Legacy with this one though, so I was able to get sort of 2 platinums with 1 stack of playthroughs. But again, the Uncharted series, just absolutely amazing. Nothing that you can say is at all wrong with these games. They're some of my absolute favorites, and I honestly recommend them to every single person who ever asks me what platinums they should go for. And for that reason, I am actually going to fit this one up into the S tier. Ghosts of Tsushima. They're just no good samurai games. Obviously recently there has been some new games coming out, but like from a samurai game point of view, this game is just amazing. Very similar to God of War, such an emotional and such a great story. Loved every minute of playing it. Look, there is a little bit of a grind to get the platinum trophy with some of the collectibles and the challenges, but honestly the game itself just completely makes up for that even if you're not getting the platinum trophy, and for that reason it will fit into the S tier. Uncharted Lost Legacy. Obviously a spin-off from the Uncharted games, which follows the 2 female characters who, look, honestly, I loved it. I know there was a bit of controversy when the game came out. People were like, oh, I'm not too sure about this, but I absolutely loved it. Much easier compared to what the original game was. There was just one point where I wanted to snap my controller in half, but that was more a skill issue than anything else. But again, all the Uncharted Platinums are very easy, very straightforward. They follow a pretty linear path, and so for that one definitely fits into my S tier. Vampire. This was very early on in my Platinum career. Look, nothing to say about this game. Do not play it. The combat mechanics are kind of cool, but honestly, the camera and beating the game on the hardest difficulty, which I believe you have to do, is probably the most annoying thing that I have ever done, and I honestly wish to never do it again, and for that reason it is going into D tier. Uncharted Drake's Fortune. Again, Uncharted series, not much else to say. It's absolutely amazing. My only big thing with the Uncharted series, particularly the original 3, is that, look, they are just a little bit older. Because they are a little bit older, I just don't quite find them as good as what Uncharted 4 and the Lost Legacy are, and the Legacy of Thieves collection. So for that reason, it does slot into the A tier, but one of those games that I absolutely love. What Remains of Edith Finch. if you're a Platinum Trophy hunter, you've probably done this game. Again, it only takes a couple of hours. It's a cool little story. Pretty sad from what I can remember at the end. It is a little bit confronting and stuff like that, but again, nothing amazing. One of those Platinum Trophies where it's like, yeah, this was fun to do, but also you completely forget about it until you look back at your list, and for that reason it is going to slot into the B tier. And here it is, my 100th Platinum Trophy, Grand Theft Auto 5. Honestly, one of the greatest games ever made. I don't think there's any argument with that there. Look, the Platinum journey itself is a grind, but I don't think I've ever felt more satisfied after getting a Platinum Trophy than what I felt after getting Grand Theft Auto 5 done. I still have to go through and clean up all the DLCs as part of like a cleanup journey, but honestly, this game's so fun. I absolutely loved every minute of it. I spent 150 hours to get the Platinum, would happily go back and do it again. I might even do the PS4 version just before Grand Theft Auto 6 comes out, but honestly, this is just like, it's so fun, and yeah, straight into the S tier. Need for Speed Heat. Yeah, look, the Need for Speed games, they are the same, rinse and repeat, not a great story. Get a whole heap of collectibles, finish a whole heap of races, do some police chases, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, there really was not much to this one. Again, it was better than the previous entries. Like if I look at Payback, and then I think it was Shift or whatever before that, it's better than them, but honestly, it's really not that big of an improvement at all from where the regular Need for Speed games are, and for that reason, it goes into the B tier. Guardians of the Galaxy. This game I feel is so underrated. I don't know why more people haven't platinumed this game or don't actually know about this game. It's actually a pretty good story. It's pretty funny if you like the Marvel comics. The platinum itself as well is pretty easy and straightforward. Like there's not really many collectibles or anything to get really. Everything comes pretty well naturally. There are some glitchy trophies, but I had completely no issues with it. Gameplay itself was super fun. I loved it, and for that it is going into the A tier. Hogwarts Legacy. Gosh, what a game. Gameplay wise, mechanics and everything like that, amazing. Honestly, I think we got a great like Harry Potter style game, one that we haven't had for a very, very long time. Just the platinum journey absolutely stinks with this game. There's honestly no other way to put it. The collectible grind at the end, like, yeah, you just don't even get close to getting anywhere near the collectibles when you play through the story, which is something that I do hate. I do wish games would, like, you know, not make you get collectibles, but at least, you know, not make it that you have this outrageous amount of collectibles to get at the end of the game, even though you've finished your playthrough. And if it wasn't for that, it would be S tier, but instead it is going to sit in A tier. Sackboy: A Big Adventure. Again, I love platformers. This one is just hard. Obviously not quite on Crash levels, but it is just super tricky. The Knitted Knights trial, where you have to complete every single one of them, it's literally a 10-minute time trial. You cannot make a mistake. You make a mistake, you die, you have to restart. The amount of times I got through to, you know, the 8-minute mark or the 7-minute mark and then would die was honestly the most frustrating thing. And there's honestly no way to practice it except just continuously doing the trial over and over and over until you can basically remember it from scratch and then go through. For that reason, it sits into the A tier, but again, a great game, a great platinum. Remnant from the Ashes. This is a great co-op game, honestly. Super fun. The story is cool. The boss fights are amazing. You do it with some friends and you can just rip through bosses really quickly, and it's so satisfying. A super cool little looter shooter as well and stuff like that. Just RNG trophies. There is like some rings that you need to get. There are a few other collectibles that you need to get, and they are completely RNG. I know some people it's taken them 20-30 hours just farming the same route over and over to get the ring. Me, it took me about 6, I think, of farming the same route over and over, like jumping on for an hour every day and just farming it. It took me like a week, and I hate that. Absolutely hate RNG trophies. I feel like there's like no place for it, but for that reason it goes into the A tier, just because the gameplay itself was so fun. Alright, Sniper Ghost Warrior Contracts 2. I had high hopes for this game when I started it. I thought it was going to be really good, but I'm not going to lie, I was pretty disappointed. The gameplay's fun, but it's just boring. Like, there's just really nothing to do. The story is kind of okay. It's kind of not like Sniper Elite. Like Sniper Elite, you kind of get to move around in the levels. There's a little bit more of like emotion in it and story. In saying that, the platinum itself is really easy, like some collectibles to get, a few combat things to do, complete the game, like really not that hard. And so for me, it will sit here into the B tier for that reason. Spider-Man 1. The best Spider-Man, without a doubt. Look, Spider-Man 1 is absolutely amazing. Miles Morales, Spider-Man 2, again, really good games, but they just don't quite hit the mark that like Spider-Man 1 did. Spider-Man 1 was probably just the perfect, the perfect length as well. I think it was, could have been a little bit longer, but then didn't need to be. DLC as well is great. Gameplay as well, absolutely amazing. One of the best games I have ever played, and for that reason, it sits into S tier. Jak and Daxter, the Precursor Legacy. Love it. Big nostalgia hit. Jak and Daxter was one of my absolute favorite games on the PS2. Loved every single minute of playing this game. The collectibles and stuff weren't too bad. I love that they've added a platinum trophy to it. Just allowed me to basically re-experience my childhood over and over again. Gameplay wise, mechanics, yeah, obviously a little bit old and dated, but it's probably one of the better PS1 games that we have on the PlayStation, and for that reason it's going to sit straight into the A tier. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Great game. Honestly, again, a Star Wars game that came out, plays really well. I loved every minute of it. If there's one game I could go back and replay again, I would love to play this one over and over again. Mechanics are good, released really well. I had no issues getting any of the collectibles. There was not really any glitchiness or anything like that, particularly compared to Jedi Survivor. Jedi Survivor came out and just did not release well. So for that reason, Jedi Fallen Order goes into the A tier. The Walking Dead Telltale series. Again, this is probably one of the only Telltale games that I have, but I think if there's any Telltale game to have, this is probably the number one to have. It's just such an emotional story. It's so good. Gameplay's great. Definitely a platinum I recommend people get. Obviously, it doesn't take a whole heap of skill. You just literally finish the game and you get the platinum. But I think just in general, how the game's played and everything, it has to fit into the A tier. Tom Clancy's The Division. Slightly controversial I'll be with this one, because this is my first ever platinum, so it does hold a very, I've got a soft spot for it in my heart. My first platinum, I love the environment, I love everything in this game. Platinum is actually pretty straightforward, like you don't have to beat the game on the hardest difficulty, you just got to complete it, grab some collectibles, but honestly running around Manhattan, in that like eerie sort of environment, besides The Last of Us, I really haven't felt like a game has been able to recreate that, and for that reason I am putting it into the S tier. Crash Bandicoot 2 Cortex Strikes Back. Again, love Crash Bandicoot, childhood nostalgia hit. Platforming wise, it's actually probably the best one out of the three. I think Crash 1 got a little bit like glitchy at times and was just hard. Crash 3 though, I found was just way too easy. Like I didn't really need to do much, whereas I found Crash 2 was that perfect balance of like played really well, was enough of a challenge, but then wasn't enough to like make me rage and get super angry. And for that reason, Crash 2 gets to go into the S tier. Next we have Lake. Again, this one actually kind of a cool, unique sort of game. Like you sort of play as a postal delivery officer, you drive around, you follow a story, pick up some collectibles, and that's it. It only takes about 4 or 5 hours to complete. It's a really good game, something that you can just chill out to, complete in an afternoon, jump in a party with some friends and just chill out. And that's exactly what I did when I played this. Definitely fun, definitely worth doing. One of those ones that is free, so there's no harm in trying it. It doesn't take you too long, but I will only be putting it into B tier because it really wasn't that memorable, but definitely something that's fun. Call of Duty World at War. Gosh, if you want to get frustrated and you want to hate games, Call of Duty World at War is where you start. I think it's rated at an 8 or a 9 out of 10 for difficulty. The veteran campaign is just ridiculous. It is actually really hard. The Enter the Reich level, if you know, you know. It's just like constant death, get up, death, get up. I think I died like 700 times in this campaign, it's just crazy to think about it. But again, such a fun game. Don't need to do any of the zombies from what I can remember. It's literally just the campaign. The zombies trophies are all DLCs. Definitely worth playing if you love Call of Duty, and such a good challenge, and when you finish it you feel so great afterwards. Just given the difficulty of it though, it will slot into the A tier. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. I thought this was a great sequel to the new Ratchet and Clank games. Again, not massively memorable from a story point of view, but gameplay wise, plays amazing. Definitely adapted really well onto the modern consoles. Like, it's just, yeah, Ratchet and Clank is such a good series. Not much else to say. Pretty easy, pretty straightforward. You can get it done in not a handful of hours, but like 10 to 20 hours. Yeah, again, really straightforward, but for that reason, it does fit into the A tier. Ratchet and Clank Size Matters. Again, this is probably the best PSP port that I have seen come over and be released into the Classics catalog. This game just plays actually so well and was actually so fun to play. You obviously get to play as Clank more than what you do as Ratchet in this one. And yeah, this was just great. Like, honestly, I don't know what else to say other than that this game was just so fun. I recommend it all the time. It's one of those classics where, yeah, the port over is great. Platinum's, again, really straightforward. Not really too much that you have to do. And so for that reason, it fits in to the A tier. Next, we have Uncharted 2, Among Thieves. Again, not much to say other than like all the other Uncharted games. Difficulty does get a little bit annoying at times, but I feel like Uncharted 2 was much easier than what Uncharted 1 was. Uncharted 1 was just a big throw into the deep end. Uncharted 3 lost a little bit of the story, and I think it just got a little bit repetitive, whereas Uncharted 2 was like so refreshing, and I thought it was like absolutely amazing. Just picked up and made, the sequel was much better than the original, and so for that reason, it is actually the S tier for Uncharted. Unpacking. Again, cool little puzzle game. You just unpack rooms, put stuff where it needs to go. You can kind of unpack things however you want. There is certain places certain things are meant to be. Pretty easy, pretty straightforward platinum. I think it took me like 4 or 5 hours to do. Again, I just did it in an afternoon when I didn't want to play and think too much. I just wanted to chill out and do something that seemed kind of pretty fun. And this like fits exactly into that category. And again, one I definitely recommend all the time if someone wants a quick, easy platinum. And for that, it goes into the B tier. SpongeBob the Cosmic Shake. SpongeBob. What else is there to say about SpongeBob? The Cosmic Shake game was actually, it was okay. I definitely don't look at it and think to myself, oh, it was like memorable, cool little platformer, humor of SpongeBob. It does what it needs to do. The platinum as well is pretty straightforward. I think it was between like 10 to 20 hours from what I can remember. Really not too hard. Pretty straightforward and yeah, somewhat enjoyable, but also not really that memorable, and for that reason it will fit into the B tier. All right, and then we have Need for Speed Hot Pursuit Remastered. Again, great game. I love Need for Speed. This one was a great nostalgia hit. Need for Speed Hot Pursuit Remastered is just so fun. One of the best games I've ever played. Slots straight up into the A tier. We Were Here. A cool little co-op game. One of the first little co-op platinum trophies I've got. One of my mates, it was his first ever platinum trophy as well. Again, only takes a couple of hours. You just got to get through some levels, solve some puzzles. Nothing amazing, but then also not that memorable. But cool enough and fun enough. Slots straight into the B tier. And finally, for our last platinum, we have Omno. Again, not a word of English is spoken in the game. It's a cool little platformer. You've got some collectibles to get, but again, only takes a handful of hours. One of those ones that most platinum hunters, I think, would have gotten in their time. But really, really fun, really enjoyable. I loved every minute of it. I'm definitely not complaining about getting this platinum. And again, it's one that I do recommend whenever it pops up as free on the PSN trophies list. And so worth getting. Definitely worth getting, and I would definitely recommend it. And for that reason, it fits into the B tier. Alright guys, that is all of my first 100 platinum trophies ranked in S, A, B, C and D tiers. Let me know in the comments below what you guys thought. I feel like it's a pretty good list. We'll do another ranking video when I get to about 150, which I think now, as of completing this video, I'm at 110. So we've got about 40 more platinums to go. So we will keep a screenshot of this, and then we will, we'll see where we're at, and we'll see how this list kind of changes. But thank you guys all for tuning in and watching. I'll see you guys all in the next one.